Hey guys, what's up? Sarah Jane. Thank you for coming back to my YouTube channel. As you've noticed, we're going to be doing videos every Monday and Wednesday. If you've read the description, it's about Dark Phoenix.
And the end of the Fox Mutants.
Yeah, so we just came back from seeing it.
First off, I'll say I at least liked it for what it was worth. But I had some issues with it.
So, apparently there were a lot of bad reviews on this film. There were some inconsistencies. Right off the bat, when young, youthful Jean is talking to Xavier, the shots don't line up. Her hair is in her face when she's talking to Xavier, like the wind is blowing it into the front of her face. And then when it goes to her face, it's all pulled back. So right off the bat, that really pissed me off, being having that experience as an editor and knowing that there are multiple takes, especially since Fox has the money and obviously took multiple takes. So there has to be one where her hair is pulled back. The storyline itself kind of confuses me.
It's not necessarily our fault for not understanding it, because even at watching all the other films prior to that, the timeline's always been messy.
Well, and that's the thing. The timeline is different in this one. Things do change. Stuff does happen that wouldn't happen in the timeline that we know from the first original ones. And that's where I'm kind of upset. I was so certain that they were going to come back, because Jean's power is so strong that she could resurrect. So I thought she was going to be resurrecting one of the characters that passed, and she didn't. And we're not even sure about her at this point. So
they did touch up that her power was brought about from the Big Bang or so. So, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen now that technically Disney has it now. So they could stick with it. They could take off from it. They could, I have no idea. But all I just know is that it's way different than what I was expecting it to be.
So those of you who are watching who don't really want the movie ruined for them,
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Jean kills Mystique. Like, right...
It didn't necessarily seem purposeful. She can't really control her power at this point. Mystique is just trying to help her and talk her down, because they are family and she loves her. Beast is trying to release something to calm Jean down, but Xavier pulls him aside because he wants to see if Mystique can calm her down. And the whole point of this, especially if you've read the comics, you know that Xavier messed up big time. He went against everything that he had supposedly stood for, and he did one of the worst things he possibly could to a child who had no idea what was going on in her life.
Put up barriers in her head so that way the pain don't go where it need to, but
doesn't go where it develops.
Surprisingly, that's not the worst thing he's done, but
in this film it has been.
Yeah.
In this universe so far it has been. He should have never done that, because now, like, she thought her father was dead. That's what he put in her head. Turns out he is alive. He just didn't want her, because he knew she was kind of the reason behind the death of her mother. Which, once again, she lost control. She didn't know who she was. She didn't know what she was doing.
What made me angry was when her dad said that she's a lost cause. It's like, oh, that's great. It's not like, she's a mind reader, so...
It's not like she can control it.
Or that, too, so good.
She's a little girl. That's not fair. It wasn't fair to her, and she genuinely chose to do good. The problem was her whole life, everything after her mother's death and the car accident was a lie that was set up that Xavier put in her head, and she got stronger. I mean, it's not every day that you find a mutant that special, and for Xavier to just be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna lock her away to protect her and everyone else. Well, let her decide that. Don't do this to her, because the moment you do this to her, she is going to have zero trust in you, and she's going to get angry. Any woman that you lie to is going to get angry, okay? Even if you're trying to protect her. So just try to tell the truth.
Yeah. Though granted, I will at least give him the benefit of the doubt. How the hell are you supposed to tell a little girl that her father don't want her? You know?
You keep saying it in the weirdest way. Doesn't want her.
Yeah. But still, how do you tell a little girl that?
And I guess that's the issue. He could have at least mustered enough balls to say goodbye to her and say, I can't raise you on my own. It can't happen, and I'm not okay with what happened today, and I need to heal. What would you do if I said I was a mutant?
Not leave. I'm not that stupid.
You're not that stupid.
Well, one, I'm not that stupid.
I wouldn't
to judge
kill
someone.
you.
Well, that's why I know.
I mean, if I was gonna kill you, it would have happened already. 7 years. You really think I'd waste my life for 7 years and then kill you after?
I mean, if it was all strategic plot, maybe. That was
Do you
a joke.
have something you want to tell me, dear? Are you a mutant?
No. Look, I already told you the third eye in my shoulder blade has nothing to do with this.
With the death of Mystique, and then Jean at the end kind of sacrifices herself to destroy the power, but not really.
You can't destroy the Phoenix Force, unfortunately. It's kind of like one of the, well, I would love to say it's one of the Infinity Stones and it can't be destroyed, but it's literally it literally came from the source of all creation. So you gotta have a lot more power to even calm that thing down.
But then that means that she should still be alive too in some way.
It's kind of like I told you on the way here. Depending on if they wanted to do this, granted we'll never know the answer, but the Phoenix Force does sometimes take the mentality or like the spirit, quote unquote, of its former hosts, and it becomes a part of it. So Jean could still be alive.
Well, and it might still be her. She's just given into it, so it's just dispersed her within it.
Yeah.
And she can always form again. But since Fox is kind of releasing it to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, supposedly, we haven't officially been deemed that they are making anything with the X-Men in them yet.
Well, I mean, they are talking, it's obvious rumor talk, but they're talking rumors of bringing in, like, Keanu Reeves, and a lot of people are assuming he's going to take up a mutant spot. I heard he was maybe thinking of Wolverine, but I don't know, because it's hard to kind of replace Hugh Jackman as the
gonna be very hard.
The Wolverine.
It's gonna be very hard to replace Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine.
But yeah, but they are considering a lot of people trying to do it, but
yeah,
we'll see how this goes.
Because Hugh Jackman's done. He's retired from that. Unless he comes back for a cameo as Old Man Logan, he's not coming back.
With the mutants, it's not surprising, because, like, again, they get the short end of the stick whenever it comes to some of that. Heck, when some of the mutants were a part of the Avengers in some comic books, they sometimes don't even get the same recognition as any of the Avengers.
Yeah.
So,
as far as, like, Rotten Tomato ratings and stuff are concerned, if you guys just listen to those and don't even look at anything else or any way, or even give it a chance yourself, then you're preventing yourself from watching a lot of movies that have a lot of potential. This movie had a lot of potential. They did have a lot of issues within it, and a lot of things could have been done a little better and explained a little more. But the storyline itself for Dark Phoenix is a massive thing in the comic universe, and it needed to be looked at. And I think they did an okay job looking into it. They could have done a little better.
Agreed.
But they had a good actress for the part, and the cast was a really good cast. I think that they need to definitely change some of their tactics in it. But overall, the critics need to put in the information on what the comics are and how the comics are done, because that will influence the style of filming that is done. You can't just be a critic and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just review the movie as a movie. I know sometimes that's just how it's supposed to go, but my opinion, I think you need to know kind of the background story behind the film itself and that story before you go into it with the critical eye.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion as a editor and previous producer and creator myself.
I always had issues with Hank, unfortunately.
Really?
Honestly, yeah, because with Hank, he kind of started off as like more of a full-grown adult. Either he already had his powers and already knew about him, or he didn't, and he developed them at a late age, so that kind of forced him.
Well, and that's the thing. He's a very strong scientist.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing that annoys me. Okay, now he's the professor of that school. I get it. But he's technically supposed to be a politician for mutant rights.
I'm telling you, they've like the timeline in this.
I know it's messed up. I get it. It's
like an alternative timeline, because now Mystique is gone. Technically, Jean is gone. Hank is something else completely than what he was supposed to be.
Professor is in France.
Yeah, the professor's retired in France, playing chess with
Magneto. But that's kind of a common thing.
I mean, that's not awful, but it's just, it's not fair to us as viewers, because we know what the story ends up being, and now it's something completely different.
In the Age of Apocalypse film, Pietro knew that Magneto was his dad, but they never even brought it up afterwards. That's what I mean. Like, they never touched on that part.
Forgot about that part. They really pushed that down and buried it.
They didn't even bother to mention it at all. So I'm kind of like, so did they solve this on the side? Are they going to solve it later? Or what? Because those of us that know Quicksilver knows that he's quick to help out the mutants more than anything else, but he's willing to switch between the Brotherhood of Evil mutants and then the X-Men and then Avengers, depending on how the politics go. So
yeah, if you guys haven't seen this film yet, give it a shot. It could have been way worse. There could have been a lot worse things that we could have been watching in that time period, in that time frame. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you next time. Bye.